This is my intro to tarot class. How many of you guys read tarot and are kind of familiar? Most of you pretty familiar. Anyone here who's like, I don't know. Cool.
Happy to be included.
Okay, cool. Good. Okay, well, this is my little crash course on tarot. Just to break the ice real quick, though. Cool, but we're just not going to work. That's fine. Rocks to the help rescue. Disclaimer. This class is not going to cover how to use tarot as a predictive tool. Sorry. This is more for just kind of doing like self-reflection and emotional process. Yeah, emotional processing, shadow work, stuff like that. So yeah, cool. Yes. What's up?
What's shadow work?
Shadow. Okay. Are you familiar with the concept of the shadow? Have you ever watched the movie Inside Out?
Yes.
Okay. So you know the part where they're like, oh, the subconscious is where we put the troublemakers?
Yes.
Yeah. So shadow work is basically taking the troublemakers, those things that you repress, those things that you find ugly about yourself, and integrating them so that they can be our friends.
Oh, that doesn't sound fun at all.
It's not. It truly sucks really bad.
I appreciate your calendar.
Yes. And tarot is a really good tool for that.
Important to do.
Yes. Yeah. Generally, you're just like a better person to be around when you do shadow work.
True.
So, yeah. Okay. Quick question. Has anyone in this room ever been told that they're not meant to read tarot? Okay. Can you tell me a little bit about that experience for you?
Well, not that I was bad at it or anything, but it was just my dad.
Mm-hmm.
So, what was the last thing we went to?
The Austera one.
We went to an Austera festival.
Well, market. But
Market, yeah.
market.
Pagan market. And my dad, I didn't have my phone on me. He's strong in his beliefs as a Mormon and doesn't like paganism. And I didn't hear him. I didn't hear him call when he was ready to pick us up. And he came in and we had all our decks out and we were doing readings and he stood over us like, I went, you want to join? He went,
Okay.
that was a no.
Oh.
Yeah, so he's not too open-minded to that.
No. So I've heard a lot in, especially the pagan community, there's like a little bit of gatekeeping around like, oh, if you don't pick it up right away, then you're just not meant to read tarot.
That's so sad.
Yeah, it kind of pisses me off. And then, there's the other side of it. It's like, oh, it's just evil, it's witchcraft, terrible, whatever. Okay, they are pieces of cardstock. But so imagine that you just made 78 new friends. That's a lot of friends. How long do you think it would take for you to get to know them? Like really get to know them? Years. Yeah, and that's like even probably like surface level, like going on coffee dates. And so what kind of things would you do to deepen your connection with those 78 people to build those relationships? You'd spend a lot of time with them, right? In a lot of different circumstances. Well, the tarot is very similar to that. It's like having 78 friends in your pocket. Learning tarot is a lifelong journey. Much like connecting with 78 new people in your life, it's going to take time to connect with your cards and a lot of intentional practice. So if you don't pick it up, it doesn't mean that you're not meant to read tarot. It just means that you need practice. That's all. You're just connecting with cards. It's fine. Okay, this is all of the history that I will do about tarot. It's literally one slide. So tarot began as a 15th century Italian card game called Triophany or Tarocchi. I don't really know how to say it, but it's kind of like the modern day bridge. So literally it was just a card game. Think Uno. And then, occultists a few hundred years later were just like, hey, these cards mean things, which we should tie it to the Kabbalah and to astrology and stuff. So it's really not that deep. Imagine taking Uno cards and then being like, this means stuff. That's what they did. Yes?
So it's just like a voodoo
dolls, how they were meant for medicine, but got like turned into something else. So just like voodoo dolls.
Yeah.
See.
Yeah, so really don't overthink it when it comes to tarot. Like you're not gonna be cursed if you like shuffle your cards wrong or take a photo of them. You'll be fine. Like literally just think of them like Uno cards or Yu-Gi-Oh cards or something. So when we're looking at how these occultists like made meaning out of these symbols, it's good to kind of familiarize yourself with the concept of the collective unconscious. Anyone heard of that? Sick. So the collective unconscious is the idea that all humans share a deep layer of mind made up of common emotional patterns and symbolic themes. So it's just something that we're born with. It's not something that we're taught. We're all going to live through grief, sorrow, happiness, joy, love, blah, 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 blah. And there are all these kinds of symbols that we see throughout in our life that kind of represent those experiences. So when connecting this to stories that we know about in our lives, has anyone heard of the concept of the hero's journey? Okay. So tarot is basically the hero's journey. And so many stories across culture just feel familiar, even if they're different on the surface. So the hero's journey just acts as a symbolic external representation of the internal process of individuation. If you're into Carl Jung, then you know what that term means. So this is where the hero faces archetypal figures, so like the shadow, the mentor, et cetera, to achieve psychological wholeness. So stories such as Harry Potter, The Labyrinth, Lord of the Rings, stuff like that, all kind of follow that hero's journey arc. And the tarot is exactly that. The tarot reflects the same emotional arcs that we see in those stories. They speak to us in symbols and colors, and they're meant to evoke like an emotional response when we see them that can tell us like where we are in our own hero's journey. Talking is hard. So tarot in the unconscious, because we're working with the subconscious when we're working with the tarot, we're kind of turning off that like thinking brain and we're like tapping into the lizard brain that just sees colors and symbols and like more instinctual when we're using the tarot. So it's meant to bypass that kind of thinking brain. That's why, has anyone just tried to like memorize keywords when learning the tarot? Yeah, how's that working for you? A little bit, yeah. Mm-hmm. But that knowing of that connection with the card seems to be more tied to a story that you basically, a narrative that you come up with based off of those keywords, right? So that's kind of what we're going to talk about today, is kind of how to build that narrative with each card. Okay, so more boring stuff. We have the structure of the tarot. Is anyone familiar with the structure of the tarot? So Major Arcana, Minor, okay. So for those of you that aren't, we'll go over that. So we have 78 cards, right? 22 of them are kind of represent the big chapters in our life. These are the marriages, the graduating college. This is the Major Arcana. This is like the soul level evolution. And then there's 56 other cards. These are kind of like the day-to-day emotional, situational things that provide that chapter context. These are just our daily choices, feelings, and actions. So we got big perspective, and then we have small perspective. That kind of ties into emotional and spiritual narratives. Your emotional narrative is represented in the Minor Arcana, so in the day-to-day stuff, that like micro view. And the Major Arcana represents kind of the more spiritual narrative. This is like your purpose and your meaning or your connection to something greater, whether it be like community, church, deities, prayer, etc. Tarot can kind of help navigate both of those layers when it comes to doing your introspection and stuff. Okay, so in the Minor Arcana, we have 4 suits. We have the swords, wands, cups, and pentacles. All represent earth, air, fire, water. Swords represent the intellect and the element of air. Wands is all about creation and action, passion, willpower. Cups, they're going to represent water, intuition, emotions, and the heart. And Pentacles is earth. This is your material matters, money, possessions, physical health, and the body. And then we have the Fool. This is card 0 in the Major Arcana. This is the main character. This is who you are in your own life. Yeah. So this is the main character of the tarot. The Fool is essentially Harry Potter on his way to Hogwarts. This is Bilbo Baggins leaving the Shire. The Fool steps into life with openness and curiosity, not yet burdened by expectations. They begin by leaping. So they're kind of like a baby that's just been born. They don't know any kind of narratives. They don't know right from wrong. They're just kind of a clean slate. And if you want to reflect on this card, you can think of a time when you began something without knowing where it would lead and what called you forward, even without certainty. So maybe it's like going to college or getting married or having children or starting a career path or something like that. In that moment, that's kind of like that. All right, I'm going to take this leap of faith and do the thing. Okay, so we're going to start with the Fool's journey through the Major Arcana. Basically, the Fool's going to go through a bunch of life chapters. So again, the Fool is basically Bilbo Baggins. He's leaving the Shire. He doesn't know anything outside the Shire. He's just vibing, and he's going to go on an adventure. So this is pure potential, clean slate, his self prior to conditioning. This is you at the threshold of transformation. And the Fool's journey can be interpreted in 3 different phases where they're forming their identity, facing ego and shadow, and disillusion and rebirth. So you can kind of use like childhood, adolescence, or adulthood as a frame of reference for this as well. Okay, sorry, I feel like I'm zipping through this. Is everyone okay with this pacing? Okay, cool. So phase 1, we have forming identity. This is basically childhood. The Fool's going to encounter the Magician. The Magician is that archetype that kind of helps them discover agency, that they can take action and make choices, and shape reality through focus and intention. So in pop culture, we have, these are kind of your magician archetypes. This is Gandalf, Dumbledore, Jareth, Morpheus, Yoda. Basically, their job is to serve as a mentor and use their mastery of hidden laws to initiate the hero's journey. So, a little reflection, you can be like, who is the magician in your life? Who is the person that's kind of guided you on your own hero's journey? Okay. Secondly, the Fool's going to encounter the High Priestess, so Galadriel. The Fool discovers there's a deeper, intuitive world beneath the surface, and not all truth is external or explainable. And a way you can reflect is, can you recall a moment when your intuition spoke louder than your logic, and what did it feel like to trust that inner voice? Next, the Fool is going to encounter the Empress. This is basically Molly Weasley. She's the mother. She's nurturing, all about creativity and sensory experience. And so they begin to feel connected to the body, beauty, and care. Then we have the Emperor. The Emperor is basically Big Papa. So the Empress and the Emperor are like the big mom and dad of the Major Arcana. So the Fool encounters the Emperor. He encounters structure, order, and they discover discipline, boundaries, and leadership. Then the Fool encounters tradition through the Hierophant. I chose the sorting hat from Harry Potter because that's an age-old tradition in the Hogwarts, in the Harry Potter world. So yeah, things like inherited beliefs, traditions, and they begin to question what has been passed down and what aligns with their truth. Then we have the Lovers. Everyone's familiar with the Lovers, right? Whether you read tarot or not, everyone's like, oh my God, I should call him. No, and the Lovers can totally be about romantic love. But more often than not, this is about choice and commitment and committing to making that choice. I love these 2 slides with Sam and Frodo when Sam's like, I'm not going to leave you, because he made that choice and he sticks with it. That's a lover's moment of like choosing to do that thing. And same with Arwen and Aragorn. Okay, and then the Fool is going to encounter the Chariot. The Chariot discovers that there's that determination and direction. They will learn how to focus. Competing drives towards a goal and begin moving with purpose. So, I mean, thinking of like Harry Potter's first Quidditch match that he won. That's like kind of, the Chariot is like kind of that first big achievement on that journey. Okay, jumping into phase 2. We still good with the pacing? Okay, cool. I feel like I'm just yapping a million miles a minute. Yeah, and we're only going to make it through the first like 22, really. So going into phase 2, this is when we're facing ego and shadow. So this is when things get a little bit more interesting. This is kind of like in that hero's journey. It's like, this is like where the plot thickens. Okay, so we don't have audio here. Anyone ever like familiar with this from Labyrinth, where she meets, what's his name? What is his name? Ludo. Yeah, I'm like, I watch this movie every night. Okay, so the Fool discovers that sometimes strength doesn't mean brute force. Strength means being kind. It means being gentle. It means being gentle with yourself and meaning your inner chaos and fear and anger with a calm presence and kindness. So it's kind of like using positive reinforcement. Yes.
Nerd I am. Thank you. There's a quote by Peter Cullen, the voice of Optimus Prime in the original Transformers. Mm-hmm. He said his brother once told him, if you're going to be a hero, be strong enough to be gentle.
Yes. That is just the strength card, essentially. One of my favorite cards, actually. Then the Fool discovers that the value of solitude and quiet introspection, kind of like Gandalf here. Then we have the Wheel of Fortune. The Fool discovers that the reality of change. They come face to face with unpredictability and the limits of control. I chose this meme because it's hilarious. Okay. Then the Fool discovers justice and how justice can sometimes be bullshit. They discover responsibility and begin to see how their actions impact others and how the truth demands accountability. So there's like all these different things that every person is going to encounter, right? These are all things that people encounter. This is just the story of being a human. Then the Hanged Man, the Fool discovers surrender and perspective. They learn that growth sometimes requires a pause and a willingness to see differently. So, for example, Gandalf chooses to no longer lead the company and die, basically. Yeah. No, because then he's reborn as Gandalf the White, as explained in the Death card. The Death card is all about discovering that letting go is not an end, but a beginning. They realize that the parts of themselves that have to die for transformation to occur, to turn into Gandalf the White, essentially. So don't be scared when you pull the Death card. It just means they're going to come back fabulous. Temperance. Okay, so the Fool discovers integration. This is kind of what we were talking about with the integrating the shadow. This doesn't mean like pushing away those things that are, hard. It's making space for them to exist alongside you. So that's what the Temperance card is all about. It's all about kind of integration, balancing contradictions, and overall just moderation. Okay, and then we go into phase 3. This is disillusion and rebirth. This is basically adulthood. The devil. The Fool's going to encounter the devil. The Fool discovers their own patterns of avoidance and illusion. They learn that freedom begins with self-awareness. The devil can be anything from a toxic relationship to addiction to just any kind of bad habit that makes you feel kind of tied down. And then the Fool's going to encounter a tower moment. Anyone familiar with the infamous tower card and how scary it is? Yeah, okay. Yeah, the tower moments suck. Tower moments feel very, very painful. So the Fool discovers that some things must fall apart. They experience the collapse of a false structure and see what remains. So this is kind of like, it's like the Titanic sinking, essentially. Something that was, not stable to begin with. Then we have the Star. The Star is a lovely card to have after the Tower. It is very welcome because the Star is all about hope and healing after devastation. They begin to orient toward peace, connection, and renewal. Then we have the Moon card. So the Fool is going to encounter times of kind of mystery and things not being so clear, illusion. They discover unconscious. They walk through shadows and mystery and emotional fog, learning to navigate what isn't clear. So I chose this scene from The Labyrinth where she eats the poison peach and now she's in this like weird masquerade ball. Because Jareth is like, oh, I'm going to give you everything you want. Yeah, it's an illusion. Then we have the Sun. This is a lovely card. So this is the point where the Fool is going to encounter joy, clarity. They learn how to express themselves without shame and celebrate authenticity. So kind of the side by side of the Sun and the Moon. The Moon is like, imagine walking through like a dark forest and all you have is the moon to light the way. You're not sure if that shadow is like a bear or a tree. So it's very unclear. But when the sun's out, you're like, oh, that was a tree. So we're all good. And then the Fool is going to encounter judgment. They discover awakening. They're called to account, to integrate, and to choose future with clarity. And then this is the last card in the Major Arcana. This is the World. The Fool discovers wholeness. They realize that every part of the journey has shaped them, and they're ready to begin again. So this is the college graduation. This is like a graduating moment. This is the end of the year. The World card always weirdly makes me think of Yule, because it's like the end of the year. Okay, and then when we reach the World card, we have finished our journey through the Major Arcana, and we're going to start again with the Magician, but on a higher level of awareness. So we're always kind of doing that level up through all of these different experiences in life. When we fully engage with these life lessons, that's when we learn them quickly and thoroughly and gain inner peace more and more. Okay, that was a lot. Any questions so far? No? Okay, well, okay.
So when the Fool actually shows up in a reading, so you're doing it for yourself, it's you. If you're doing it for someone else, it's them.
It can represent you. It can represent them. It can also represent the concept of the Fool of a clean slate.
Okay.
It can also represent the concept of taking a leap of faith. Does that make sense?
Yes.
It can be a person or a concept. Really just relevant to however you interpret it. Any other questions? No? Okay, cool. Okay, so now we're going to talk about the Fool's day-to-day. And you talked about the big chapters, now we're going to talk about his day-to-day in the Minor Arcana. And I'm not going to go through every single card. I'm sorry, but my voice is already hurting. Yeah. Okay, so we have the 4 suits. We talked about that kind of at the beginning, representing the different ways that energy is expressed. So we have the wands. These are your fiery, quick, creative, spicy, energetic energy. It's Leslie Knope. It's Donna Meagle. Like that is fire. Those are your wands cards. Then we have the swords. This is all air, the intellect. They're idealistic, cerebral, and witty. Kind of like Hermione, kind of like Janet. Then we have Pentacles. This is the earth sector. Slow, steady, grounded, firm, unmoving. They work with their hands, sensory pleasures, all about the body and just sensory experience. Then we have Cups. And I wish the audio would come through. This is a funny, yeah, whatever. Cups, that's water. It's flowy, adaptable. It takes shape of its vessels. And it's just raw emotion and intuition. So you can think whenever you pull a card that is a Minor Arcana, you can think to yourself, if this suit was a friend, how would they act? Your Wands friends are going to be hyped and full of ideas. They might be impulsive. Maybe they don't have a filter. Your Cups friends are going to be a little bit more sensitive, nurturing, always asking about your feelings. Your Swords friends are going to be kind of more like logic over emotions, a little bit more like I don't know, cerebral. Your Pentacles friends are going to be steady and practical and reliable, grounded, and probably show up with soup when you're sick for practical support.
What does it mean when you know somebody who's all of them?
Then they're just a wonderful person. Well integrated, wonderful person. Keep them in your life. Okay. And in the Minor Arcana, we have the Ace through 10 cards. And each number kind of represents how the energy that's expressed moves. Does that make sense? Okay. So when we have like the aces, this is a seed, this is pure potential, this is the essence of the suit in its rawest form. It's a spark, a gift, or a fresh start. Think of it as a yes energy, but what will you do with it? This is kind of like, here are the seeds. I actually like to think of the Ace of Pentacles as literally like seeds planting into the earth. Twos are all about duality, choices, balance, division, polarity. So this is the first step into relationship with others, with the self or with an idea. It's often about decision-making, weighing options, or beginning a partnership. Threes are all about expansion, expression through growth or through collaboration or expression. These are the first visible results or creative flourishing. The energy moves beyond the self and is shared or expressed into the world. Then fours, these are kind of all about stability and structure, foundation, security, a pause to consolidate. They can be grounding or they can be stagnating, depending on the suit. The energy kind of rests here. This is like a resting place, creating form to make some stability for 5, disruption. Challenge, conflict, instability, loss, or struggle. Often the way I kind of like to look at it is like even numbers are more stable and odd numbers are less stable. So this is all about growth through resistance. This is the stress test moment of the suit's energy. So like if you've ever had like an experience in your life where you're like, is this resistance that I'm facing? Is this redirection? Or is this just like normal resistance that's necessary for growth? That's kind of like the energy of a 5. 6s are all about harmony, recalibration, and rebalancing after chaos of the 5. It's about returning to flow, restoration, or generosity, movement towards balance, often in relationships or external dynamics. 7 is another kind of destabilizing testing strategy, challenges that require patience, vision, or persistence. So this is all about facing illusions, risks, or a deeper reflection. This is like a where do I stand moment. 8s are all about mastery, momentum, discipline, skill building, or acceleration. They can be fast movement, steady work, or mental focus, depending on the suit. This is where the energy kind of crystallizes into practice. 9 is culmination. This is where it's like, okay, yeah, I've mastered the thing, but now it's kind of a burden, and it's beginning to be a little bit too much. So this is near the completion, but with heavy responsibility. I always like to think 9 as the 9th month of pregnancy. You're miserable. There's a thing in you. It's like taking the total inside of your body. You're ready to be done with it. That is 9. So this is awareness of what's been gained and the weight that it carries, often a solitary stage, an inner reckoning. 10s are completion. This is transition, full expression of the suit's cycle. So this is the ultimate result. This is fulfillment, collapse, or both. Signals both an ending and the seed of the ace returning again. So that's ace through 10. Any questions so far? Yes.
When they are reversed, do you read them as the opposite of the original, or?
Reading reversals is really up to your own interpretation. You can read them as the opposite, or it really depends on the context of your question. Sometimes I like to think of reversals as that energy, but drunk, or that energy, but disoriented, or turned upside down, or not crystallized, or incomplete, or blocked. There's so many ways. I could do an entire class on just reversals. I'm not going to lie. But it's really just up to you and kind of how you interpret it relative to your question. That makes sense? Cool. Any other questions? No? Okay. Okay, this is just ace through 10 across all of the 4 suits. It's impossible to read that, so we'll just skip. Okay, now we're moving into the court cards. So these are like the actual personalities of each suit. Like these are the suit personified. So we have, they kind of represent people, stages of growth, energies or approaches. They don't always have to be just people. They can show how energy can be personified and relatable to the self. And we have 4 ranks in the court cards, kind of like we have 4 suits. The pages are students, they're beginners. I like to think of them as like the frat boy college student. Knights, they are all about action, pursuit, testing boundaries, momentum. I like to think of knights as the intern. Queens are inner mastery, embodiment, and emotional intelligence. Kings are outer mastery, authority, and directing the energy outward. So the king and the queen is both master, just both passive and active, if that makes sense. So pages are learning it, knights are doing it, queens are embodying it, and kings are ruling it. Okay, so the suits in personality form. So we've kind of already talked about that. The wands are going to be the passionate people. Cups are emotional, sensitive, and intuitive. Airs, your intellectuals. And pentacles are your like practical, grounded, resourceful. So if you were to describe what a page of wands or a queen of cups might look like as a friend, coworker, or inner voice, kind of what would that look like? Okay, that was also a lot. Any more questions? Okay. I'm going to check on time and see where we're at. Cool. That's great because then we'll have time to kind of talk about stuff. Cool. Okay, so that's all kind of the like brainy stuff, but tarot is not all about brainy stuff, and it's all about kind of reading intuitive. So we're going to shift into intuitive reading. So what is intuitive reading? Has anyone ever tried just reading a tarot card without any guide? What was that like for you?
I knew exactly what it was trying to come up, but that's always the case.
Yep. Yeah. It's almost like that symbolism is tied to something called a collective unconscious, right? So, intuitive reading, this is where you connect with things like symbols or colors that you see in the cards to your own characters or your own chapters in your life. This is where you dig into your lore. This is where you are Bilbo Baggins. You can do that using the traditional meanings, or you can use those traditional meanings as a jumping off point to kind of get into that more intuitive space of reading. Okay, so we're going to do a little activity. Who all has a deck? Who does not have a deck? Okay, that is totally cool. I can just give you a card.
We promise to give it back.
Promise to give it back.
We do.
Here's what we're going to do for intuitive reading. Get something to jot it down, or you can make a mental note, or even a note in your phone. Pause and kind of observe the card. What colors or symbols do you notice first? Don't overthink it. Like, literally do not overthink it.
Buns.
And then notice what feelings rise up, and where do you feel them in your body? I'll give you a moment to sit with that. Anyone want to share kind of what their findings are and what their card was? Yes, I saw. Yes.
You beautiful, lovely person, you gave me the damn tower.
Yeah.
I'm going to try my best not to hate you for that. The very first thing I noticed about the tower, buns. There is a naked man falling from this tower, and my very first thought is, gee, damn it, I don't want to get caught with my pants down again.
I mean, that would be pretty embarrassing during a tower moment.
Well, for me, that's like Here is this disaster. You were not prepared for it.
Yeah, this is like having a heart attack in the shower.
Yeah.
Is that common?
I hope not.
I mean, I
Probably
have a
more
friend that had a
common.
stroke in the shower.
That is horrifying. I'm so sorry. I hope they're okay.
They are. They are.
Okay, good. But yeah, my initial reaction to receiving the tower was just anger because I lost my mom very suddenly. There was a lawsuit involved afterwards. I have already gone through my tower time. It is my turn to have some peace, damn it.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
that card just kind of showing up like, ooh, okay, we have some feelings that need to be acknowledged.
yeah, and those feelings are, fuck you, no more, no more. We've had enough. We've had enough tower for now.
Yeah, it's very, like to find yourself kind of naked and unprotected in a moment.
Not F you specifically, to
Right.
the card, not to you.
I know, it's totally
Just
fine.
wanted to make sure.
Yeah, so, and it's like you didn't even have to look up the meaning of the card to realize, like,
I've lived it.
yeah, we all have had a tower moment. Who here has had a tower moment? We've all had a tower moment. That's because that's what being a human is all about. Trauma, apparently. Okay, anyone else?
Collective human consciousness.
Yes.
To kind of go on top of that, so I had the sun. The thing that strikes me is the bottom starts out as a very dark blue, and it gets brighter and brighter as it goes. So it gives me a sense of like hope rising out of dark times.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah, kind of
like,
that contrast.
Yeah, like light after the dark sort
Yeah.
of thing. So that's the vibe I get from it.
Yeah, and that is kind
things
of-
are rough now, but it's going to get better. The sun's going to come out.
It always does. It always rises again. Yes.
I didn't use your deck. I have Ethereal Visions, but I got the Two of Pentacles, and the thing that first struck out to me is she's holding two pentacles with a very precarious pose. And so it's like she's gonna fall over. And so the first thing that I feel is very anxious.
Yeah.
Because have you ever been like trying to balance things between your hands?
Yeah.
Or like you have a cup of coffee and it's like about to spill over even though you're holding it very carefully. And I feel like that is very encapsulating of the meaning of the card. It feels very precarious, like you're trying to balance these things that are so difficult to hold.
Yeah, and that is the essence of that card. Absolutely. Yes, and Tib.
So to preface this, did you intentionally give us these cards or did you just kind of hand them out?
I just pulled them out.
Okay. So I received the World.
Okay.
And looking at this card, I see, physically there is a female form, a dancer with batons, perched precariously atop like a column of some sort, the sun, the moon, everything in completion. What I always get when I see the World is completion, starting again, victory, and what comes after. Sometimes, to piggyback along with, the tower, we have that moment, and then we have the sun that comes out. Sometimes we don't quite know what to do with that. I wrote down, what do we do with peace, and when is the next war?
Yeah.
That's always what comes to mind for me is, yes, we've hit this moment of having peace and having completion. What's next? What
Yeah.
other horrible thing is going to happen? And what are we going to do about it?
When's the other shoe going to drop?
Exactly.
Yeah. Yeah. See how this kind of shows you where your mind already is in your journey and kind of like what your lens is that you are seeing the world through, right? No pun intended. Okay. Anyone else want to share kind of what they saw? Yes, Jayla.
I received death, and it looks like a soldier going into battle with a shield and a black flag, surrounded by purple. What I felt was fear in my chest, and what it made me think of is going onto a journey and rebirth.
Yeah. See, and you already felt that in your body without even having to really know what the card means. Just looking at the colors and the symbolism and everything. Oh, we have one more who wants to share.
I pulled the moon. It was reversed, but I'm gonna just do upright.
Okay.
I have a eight coin tattoo tarot deck, and I couldn't quite get the symbolism, but it's a lobster with different points on its body, each connected to a different phase of the moon.
Okay.
Immediately I felt uncertainty.
Okay. Is there any kind of, so the first symbol you noticed it sounds like was the lobster though? Yeah.
It's the main heart.
Okay.
And in the story, it's a crawfish, but in the book, it's a lobster. So
Okay. Is there any? Okay, let's dig a little bit deeper into the symbolism here. Since you noticed something very specific, what does like crustacean represent to you? Whether it be a shellfish or lobster.
the shell itself, I think, is protection, sometimes just being defensive.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. And those are the kinds of things that we notice when we like look at when one symbol jumps out. It's like, oh, what does that mean to me?
And they live in the water. And
Yeah.
water is represented by emotion and cups, yet it has such a strong body. It does tend to stay near the bottom of the ocean, anywhere where there's floor. I don't think crabs can swim.
Yeah.
I don't know.
There are some that can, but they're not very common.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I find that awesome because they don't seem like the type to be in an emotional area, but at the same time, they're strong.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, there's like that layer of protection there. Yeah. Absolutely. Okay, good observations. Cool.
Can I add one thing?
Yeah.
Just very brief.
Sure.
I just want to point out something that I figured out, and that is that the tower need not mean destruction. The tower can also mean that now is a time to rebuild.
1,000%. The tower is the alchemy card.
Alchemy card.
Alchemy, yeah, to break something down to its very basic components to rebuild something stronger out of those basic components.
Got it. So I just wanted to also apologize
rebuilding
for
from
my
the rubble.
language.
Yeah. Oh no, you're fine. Well, the tower has so much tied to it. So it's of course when you pull it up, it is this like feeling of injustice.
A feeling of, oh, come on.
Yeah, it's like why? But the thing is, it's like, well, because maybe it wasn't like stable to begin with, and then you rebuild from that rubble. Yes.
When dealing with the tower is, are you the tower or are you the lightning striking it? Are you the thing that's tearing down the thing that's in your way?
Or are you the guy falling out of it?
Or are you the guy who's going to come in and screw up somebody else's life because they need it? Are you the catalyst?
Right. 1,000%. 1,000%. Yes.
I got this lovely tarot book. In the story of the tower, it has a reference of, as humans, we create structures to support our everyday lives, our beliefs, philosophies,
Yeah.
and our careers and families. But sometimes when those structures no longer serve us, we still tend to cling to them because losing something we've built for so long is hard.
Yes.
And that's when the universe has to come along and strike it down for us.
Yep. Yeah, and sometimes that happens while we're kicking and screaming. It sucks. Okay, so next activity that I want to do, I love this activity because when we're working with the tarot, we kind of got to stretch our brain a little bit. Think of us doing like a little stretch with our brain because we got to think outside the box. So I like to do a free word association exercise using keywords as a jumping off point, and I'm trying to decide how I want to do this. We seem to be talking a lot about the tower. So I'm going to start with just this front row.
Sam, I'm going to have you repeat people because I think it's going to be easier for you just to repeat what they're saying than me run around on this one, just because I feel like it's going to be quicker.
For sure. Or just talk very loudly. So you got the tower. And the first, think one word. What's the first word that comes to mind?
There are children in the audience. I don't think you want my first word. S-H-I.
Okay. Who wants to do a free word association on S-H-I-T? What's the first thing you think of? First word. Shout it out. Bull. Okay. It happens. Okay, coming off of what it happens, shout it out. What does it make you think of? Life. Roads. Diverging. Okay. What was that? Choice. What's patience? What comes to mind when you hear patience? Parenthood. Okay. Wisdom. Protection. Okay. So that actually kind of tags on to what were you talking about with the tower? How, like, are you the catalyst? Is this tower moment actually a moment of protection for yourself or for other people? Are you the one causing the tower moment? Are you the one going through the tower moment? So a really fun practice to do when you are sitting down with your cards in your journal is to think of the first word that you, like, whether it be like icy blue. What does blue make me think of? Calm, nap, rain. Like, just write them down. It doesn't have to make sense. This is just like a stretching exercise for your brain. And then what I like to do is highlight the ones that feel sparkly. And by sparkly, I mean like they feel relevant to your question. So moving on to giving more context. So we pulled a Major Arcana card. This is the big chapter. Now I want you to pull any Minor Arcana card. So this is one that's going to have a Cups, a Pentacles, a wand, or a sword. And if you need a card, raise your hand and I'll come trade. Pulling a major and a minor together, this is to give the major some context. The major is the chapter that the Fool is in. The minor is the kind of day the Fool is having within that chapter. Maybe the chapter is the sun and you pulled, I don't know, the Three of Cups. So it's a fun, sunny chapter in your life and you're partying with your friends. Let's see, how do I want to do this? One person, tell me what they got. Ace of Cups, okay. What did you get?
10 of Wands.
10 of Wands. What was your major card?
The Moon. Although when I shuffled, because you said to pull a minor, it was the Emperor. And then I didn't need that, so then it was Temperance. And then I got the 10.
It'd be like that sometimes. Okay, so you had the Moon with the 10 of Wands?
Moon reversed, but still.
Okay, so what was the very first color or symbol you noticed when you pulled the 10 of Wands?
The raven, or the bird.
Okay, what do ravens or birds represent to you?
Well, it's on the Ace of Cups. It's in the air, but I'm not sure. They carry on just fine.
Okay. So if you're having... Okay, wait, let's start with the free word association. When I say bird, you saw bird, right? What's the next word you think of?
Wings.
Wings, okay. What comes after wings?
Flight.
Flight. Okay, what comes after flight?
Drift.
Drift, okay. And you pulled the moon. So how can that tie into a moon chapter?
Well, the moon reversed is full of uncertainty, kind of like the upright, though it's misinterpreted. It's, we were just talking about this. And because when the Fool came across the moon, he was originally just so dazzled by the stars, and then the clouds came, and he thought, oh, wolves were going to eat me. There's a spider. It was just a crawfish. You're so surrounded by your anxieties and your fears that you don't take the time to let your eyes adjust to everything around you.
Right. Yeah, so kind of how can we tie that bird symbolism into that?
Could have been something he saw.
Like what I think of is freedom from fear. But you also said the word flight. I think of fear, fight, flight, freeze response.
Oh, yeah, fight or flight.
Fight or flight. And these are just like suggestions of ways you can kind of like stretch that meaning making.
But the bird on this card is being shot down by the 10 of Wands.
Oh, interesting.
Like being impaled.
And the 10 of Wands is originally like being overburdened. And maybe you do need those responsibilities. Maybe you don't, which is why reversed is when you have to drop them all and pick them back up slowly.
Yeah.
You're carrying too much and it can't fly with all that weight.
Right. Right. And maybe that weight is that fear from the moon and that uncertainty. Sure. Cool. Anyone else want to share their pair? Yes.
Just 2 seconds, sorry.
You have the Six of Swords And both my niece and nephew had some very good insight.
Oh, good. I
So-
love hearing kids' responses. Yes.
So my nephew pointed out the frog on the bottom. And my niece pointed out, she said, the lady likes shiny things because of
Okay.
her pretty coat and her pretty swords. And if you compare that to the sun, the frog and the darkness are in the same area. The lady and the sun are in the same area. So I can imagine maybe a story of poverty and like ugliness, kind of like for the frog, but then rising up to the lovely woman wearing the furs with the golden swords, the beautiful boat. So
Yeah.
having both wealth and protection, and possibly again with being in a swamp, it's probably rising to that power.
Yeah, and what's great, I love how you worded that too, because the Six of Swords is a card of moving into calmer waters. And when you're in poverty, you are not in calm waters. But it's kind of showing that, like, yes, 5 minutes, go. It's kind of showing that ability to, or that, you know what, words are hard. That ability to move into calmer waters, into that sun moment. So if you were to see the sun as your chapter, and the Six of Swords as kind of the day that the Fool is having within that chapter, maybe that Six of Swords is the day that the Fool decided to move into calmer waters toward the sun. That could be one way of interpreting that. Anyway, okay. One more person want to share? Yes.
Don't be sorry.
I forgive you for the Tower because the card you gave me afterwards was wonderful. I got the Ten of Cups, which of course is, complete and emotional. And this Ten of Cups has a lot of building in it. It has bees, which are famously builders of their own homes. It has a home. It has two lovely women who are creating, who are making art in front of it.
I love that card.
As well as a rainbow, which is, again, after the storm. And I greatly appreciate the symbolism and the vision of it, of this is what comes after.
Yes. Oh, it's actually kind of a perfect pair.
Yes.
It's destroying what doesn't work so that you can find ultimate. I mean, the Ten of Cups is the ultimate emotional fulfillment. It is like the fairy tale ending. And you have to remove those structures that are not that. It is saying no to the life that you don't want.
Or they will be removed for you.
Yep, pretty much. Okay, do we have any questions? I'm sorry we're running short on time. I did not plan my timing because I'm bad at that. Any other questions? No? Do you feel like you know a little bit more about tarot now? Or did I just talk for a really long time?
You did lovely. You did wonderful.
What's up? Share my slide?
Can you?
Oh, the
Can you
slideshow?
share the slideshow to us if we would like to have it?
Yes.
A copy of it.
I can send it to you because I know how to contact you. If you want me to send the slide, then, or wait, I can send it to Rox.
Yeah, because I'm going to be posting these on the Utah Pagan Market YouTube.
Yes.
So if you send me a link that you can just share out, I can hyperlink it in the description.
Yes. Yeah. So just keep an eye out for it with Utah Pagan Market YouTube. Cool beans? Okay, cool. Sick. Okay, bye.